Welcome to the week ahead for financial markets with Mike Smith, Head of Client Education and Training and Senior Analyst at Go Markets. Delighted that you're here today as we go through the 5 market moving factors that may influence sentiment this week. Of course, the major news over the weekend was the Israeli-Iranian conflict escalation with direct US involvement, with some bunker busters being dropped on some of the Iranian nuclear facilities. Is the US straight at the beginning of the end, or is regime change now on the table? It has always been cited that it was a single act and that it was all about the nuclear program. But Donald Trump has come out today and said that regime change is part of the agenda, which sort of fits into the Israeli narrative in terms of what they want. The markets have become increasingly nervous during the Asian session. We're seeing a US futures sell off to some degree, not dramatically so, but enough to be noticeable. Asian markets have also been weak today so far. And of course, the other major influence is the potential impact on oil, not only and supply concerns with the threat to the Strait of Hormuz from the Iranian regime may be followed through on as a retaliation for US involvement. Just to put this into context, as you may have heard last week on the Inner Circle session, that accounts for around about 20% of the oil transportation around the world. So a breach in that would have a major impact on oil supply. We're already seeing many ships divert away from that as a result of the potential threat. If we look at what's happening with oil price very quickly, we'll just look at a weekly chart of the USO USD CFD futures contract, and you can see that spike over the last few weeks. And of course, if we look at the daily chart, you can see there that we gapped up higher this morning, just pulling back a little bit, but certainly another couple of percent higher than we closed on Friday. This level looks important in the short term at around about 77.35, but $80 is the potential target. You can see we actually touched that in this morning's trading, minus a few cents. Bitcoin is also under pressure. Interestingly, there's a test of a 100,000 level, which is technically as well as psychologically quite important. It has been weak over the last few weeks. And if we just look at a chart, we talked about this before in terms of there's a technical double top being formed. So you can see that test of 100,000 there over the weekend on the back of what was happening in the Middle East. We've just got a little buying coming back in today, but that test looks significant. It got to a low around about 97,900. A little bit of buying in Asia, but you can see there it looks fairly unconvincing. So watch 100,000 and then a test of 98,500 we would suggest is a level that would suggest the sellers are well and truly in. Be interesting to see how that plays out through the course of the day and subsequently over the next 2 or 3 trading sessions. There is some recovery in the US dollar, possibly a little bit of flight to safety in play, but also, of course, the Fed were quite cautious in terms of suggesting anything going forward that deviates from a potential September rate cut when they met last week. That's probably been reinforced by what's happened in the Middle East. Obviously, with oil where it is, if that's prolonged, then the inflationary impact is probably significant. So again, sort of interlinking here of where markets are with all of this, but certainly the US dollar is looking stronger right now after testing 3-year lows only a few trading days ago. And of course, off the top of the headlines, you can't forget any reference to potential moves in tariff policy will be responded to by markets. Although, as I've said, this is obviously not headlines at this stage. So those are 5 things which we think can move markets. Any escalation is likely to impact negatively on the major indices and positively in terms of oil price. Either way, you can keep up to date with what's happening on our live market updates, which run on Monday and Thursday. And of course, if there's something significant goes on in between, we'll try and put on a special session for you all. And as always, we'll have our Inner Circle on Wednesday, where this week we're probably going to do a critical market update where we look a little deeper in terms of what's driving markets and what could happen next. It'd be great to see you there if you can make it along. And of course, We're always happy to help. So if there's anything you need to ask our support team, they're ready and waiting to take your call. Have a great week. Trade safe and see you again soon. Bye bye for now.